This video will show you how to create a customized patient list. So first you're going to determine if you want to look at a list of patients that are pregnant or delivered. So if you want to look at a patient list of pregnant patients, you're going to come to this patients and then find print patients. If you want to look at a list of patients that have delivered, then you go under births and then find print births. Now the first thing it's going to ask you is your time frame. So you can choose last month, last year, or you can create a custom one. We're just going to choose all here. And then the 4 is going to ask you for which providers you want to look at those patients. So if it's just your patients, you can choose here. You could look at the midwife patients, the physician patients, or you could choose your whole practice. The additional variables are going to determine which information you see down below here in each column. So for example, you can use this as like a birth log. So you could choose all the different variables that you want to see on each row for your births. So let's say we want to look at the ABGARs, the weight, the presentation, the sex, the type of birth, whether they were induced, did they have an epidural, what was their blood loss, and so on. Then we can determine if we want to filter our patient list. So, for example, if you want to create a list of your inductions, then we could choose induction, which is under the birth section here. And we'll come down to induction. And if you only wanted to look at a list of patients that were induced by a certain method, then you can choose which method you want here. But if we want to look at a list of all of our induction patients, then we're going to choose any. And then we'll hit find. And then as you can see here, we have a list of all of our patients and the type of induction method that we used, and then all the other information of the variables that we chose. Some other common patient lists that you can create. I'm going to remove the search option here, and I'm going to show you a few other ones. So we can look at a patient list of all of our hemorrhages by coming down to birth and then choosing blood loss. And then here you can either do 500 or 1,000 based on the definition you're using. And let's just do 6,000 as our max. So you're going to put in the range here. And again, you're going to choose find. And then as you can see here, under the blood loss category, all of these patients have a blood loss of greater than 1,000. Another one you can do, we're going to remove this option here, is to create a list of our VBAC patients. So we could come down to the birth section, and then we're going to choose VBAC, and then and you're going to choose Y for yes. And then that will show you a list of our VBACs. Another common one is creating a list of patients that delivered at a particular birth site. So if you come down here to the baby section and you choose birth site, and then you would choose which hospital or birthing center they delivered at. You could also filter by type of birth, like if you wanted to look at a list of your C-section patients. You could also make a list of your patients that had like an episiotomy or 3rd and 4th degrees. You could create a list of your patients that, let's see, were augmented, or what else? That were also LGA. You could put in a weight range here. So a lot of options. Basically every variable or every field that you have available to you, including your custom fields, is going to show up as an option to filter by. And that is how you create your customized list.